Life's a funny thing, isn't it? One minute you think you've got it all figured out, plans set, paths clear, the world spinning just the way you expected. And then, bang, everything changes. Just like that. The rug gets pulled, the lights go out, and suddenly you're standing in the dark wondering what's next. Funny, isn't it? How no matter how much you plan, no matter how tight you hold on, there's always something bigger, something unseen, something just waiting to shake things up. They like to believe they're in control. It makes them feel safe, gives them a sense of order, makes them think they've got it all figured out. They map out their lives, set their little schedules, plan for every possibility, like the world runs on their rules. They wake up, follow their routines, shake hands, smile, nod, pretend they know exactly where they're headed. But deep down, they're just guessing, just hoping, just stumbling through the dark, same as everyone else. They cling to the illusion because the truth, the truth is much, much scarier. Nobody is in control. Not you, not them, not the people who sit in high towers making decisions for the rest of the world. They pretend they are, sure. They push buttons, sign papers, tell you how things are supposed to be. But all it takes is one moment, one unexpected twist, and suddenly everything they thought they knew goes up in flames. One wrong step, one bad day, and all their little plans crumble. And then what? Then they scramble, then they panic, then they realize what you've known all along. Control is just a story people tell themselves to keep from going crazy. Look around, really look. Do you think the people who have it all, who sit at the top, who call the shots, got there because they planned every move perfectly? No. They got there because they adapted, because they understood that the game changes, that the rules bend, that the ones who survive aren't the ones who have the best plan, but the ones who know how to dance when the music shifts. They'll tell you to stick to the script, go to school, get a job, buy a house, retire, and die with a nice little stack of memories that all look the same. But what happens when the script changes? What happens when the job disappears, when the house isn't yours anymore, when the world decides it doesn't care about your plans? That's when they break. That's when they don't know what to do, because they spent their whole lives thinking they were in control. And now they're lost. But you've seen behind the curtain. You know the truth. The world is chaos, wrapped in a thin layer of order, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you learn to play by different rules. You don't cling to the illusion. You don't waste your time trying to predict the unpredictable. You learn to move with it, to let the chaos guide you, to find the cracks in the system and slip right through them. Because when you stop pretending you're in control, that's when you actually start winning. They'll call you reckless, call you crazy, say you're making mistakes, but that's just because they don't understand. They're afraid of what they can't control, and you've embraced it. You don't fear the unknown. You don't wake up every day wondering what's going to happen. You wake up knowing that whatever comes, because control isn't real, but adaptability, that's the real power. That's what separates the ones who survive from the ones who break. Most people spend their whole lives fighting the current, trying to swim upstream, exhausting themselves trying to hold on to something that was never solid to begin with. But you let go. You let the current take you where it wants. And while they're busy drowning, you're floating, watching them struggle, wondering why they never learned to swim. Because that's the secret, isn't it? The world isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be ridden, like a wave, like a storm, like a wild thing that refuses to be tamed. They thought they had you boxed in, thought they could predict your every move, thought they could map out your future like a neat little equation, but you don't fit in their boxes. You don't play by their rules. And when they finally realize that, when they see that you've slipped right through their fingers while they were busy clinging to their illusions, oh, the look on their faces. That's the best part. People like certainty. They like things to be neat, predictable, packaged up in a way that makes sense to them. They want a roadmap, a guarantee, a nice little promise that if they just do A, B, and C, everything will turn out exactly the way they expect. But life doesn't work like that, does it? Life isn't a straight line. It's a joke with a twisted punchline. A game where the rules change the moment you think you've got them figured out, and the funniest part, they know it. They know nothing is certain, nothing is promised, nothing is truly in their hands. But they pretend anyway. They pretend because the unknown terrifies them. Oh, they'll do anything to avoid it. They'll stick to routines, follow the herd, convince themselves that as long as they color inside the lines, nothing bad will happen. But that's just fear talking. The unknown isn't the monster under the bed. It's the door to everything they've ever wanted but were too afraid to reach for. It's possibility, it's change, it's freedom. And that scares them more than anything. Because if they admit that the unknown isn't the enemy, then they have to admit they've wasted years running from something that was never chasing them in the first place. The ones who fear the unknown the most, they're the ones who have the most to lose. The ones who built their whole identity around certainty, around control, around playing it safe. They look at you, at anyone who dares to step into the dark without a map, and they shake their heads. Call you reckless, call you foolish, but deep down, they envy you. Because while they're trapped in their little cages, their carefully constructed boxes, you're out there, free, moving with the chaos, letting life take you places they'll never have the courage to go. They talk about fear like it's this big, bad thing that has to be avoided at all costs. Stay safe. Stay careful. Don't take risks. Don't step too far out of line. But fear? Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is a sign that you're alive. It's a signal that you're standing at the edge of something real, something that actually matters. The unknown only scares people who have convinced themselves that comfort is more important than growth. But you're different. You know that stepping into the unknown isn't about losing control. It's about gaining possibility. They cling to their plans, their blueprints, their 5-year projections, thinking it'll protect them from the unexpected. But life doesn't care about their plans. It doesn't care how well they map things out. One storm, one accident, one unexpected turn, and everything changes. And the ones who can't adapt, the ones who spent their whole lives pretending they could outsmart the unknown, they're the first to crumble. Because they never learned how to dance in the dark. The unknown is where the real magic happens. It's where the best stories are written, where the greatest transformations take place. The ones who rise, the ones who make history, the ones who laugh while everyone else is panicking, they're the ones who stopped trying to fight the unknown and started embracing it. They're the ones who understood that not knowing what's next isn't a weakness, it's a gift. Because if you don't know what's coming, that means anything can happen. It means there are no limits, no boundaries, no set paths. It means you get to carve your own way while everyone else is still waiting for permission. They thought they had it all figured out, thought they had a grip on the world, thought they knew exactly where they were going. But now they're realizing the truth. that the ground beneath them isn't as solid as they thought, that the future isn't a script they get to write in advance, and you're already 3 steps ahead, because you never needed the script. You never needed the false promises, the illusion of control. While they were busy building walls to keep the unknown out, you were stepping through the door, laughing, ready for whatever comes next. Funny thing about pain, it always comes uninvited. No one ever asks for it, no one ever wants it, but sooner or later it shows up anyway, kicks down the door, makes itself at home, puts its feet up on the table like it owns the place. And most people, they crumble, they whimper, they beg, they ask, why me? Like pain is some kind of mistake, like it wasn't supposed to happen to them. But pain doesn't play favorites. It doesn't care who you are, where you've been, how much you've planned, how many precautions you took. It finds everyone. The difference isn't if you'll feel it. The difference is what you do with it. Most people, they let pain define them. Let it write their story for them. Turn into victims. Let it eat them alive from the inside out. They get hit once, maybe twice, and suddenly they stop trying. They stop moving. They let the pain build a cage around them, keep them stuck in the past, keep them afraid to take another step forward. And why? Because it's easier. It's easier to believe pain is the end of the road than to accept that it's actually just the beginning. See, the ones who rise, the ones who turn pain into power, they know something the others don't. They know that pain isn't a punishment, it's a forge. It burns, yes, it tears, it rips you apart, but it also reshapes you. It strips away the weak parts, leaves you sharper, stronger, something entirely new. And when you understand that, oh, then pain stops being something to fear. Then pain becomes something you use. They thought your pain would break you, thought it would silence you, stop you, turn you into nothing more than a memory. That's what they were counting on, wasn't it? That you'd fold under the weight of it, that you'd disappear, that you'd let it swallow you whole. But they didn't realize something, did they? They didn't realize you weren't like them. They didn't realize you don't run from pain. You become it. You let it sink in, let it fuel you, let it turn you into something they can't predict, can't control, can't destroy. Most people, they see pain as a wall, a dead end. They hit it and think, well, that's it, I guess it's over. But you see it for what it really is, a doorway. Because pain, real pain, doesn't just close doors, it opens them. It forces you to see things differently, forces you to dig deeper, forces you to find parts of yourself you never even knew were there. It makes you aware, makes you dangerous, makes you alive. They don't get it, the ones who've never suffered. They walk through life thinking they've got it all figured out, thinking they know strength because they've never been tested, but real strength? It's not something you're born with, not something you inherit, not something they can hand you on a silver platter. Real strength is forged. It's beaten into you, scar by scar, wound by wound, lesson by lesson. And the ones who survive that process, the ones who take every hit and keep getting back up, those are the ones who can't be stopped. They laugh at pain, the ones who've never felt it. Mock it, dismiss it, act like it's something you should just shake off. But when it finds them, oh, then it's a different story, isn't it? Then they break. Then they cry out. Then they realize what you've known all along. Pain changes people. It turns the weak into ghosts and the strong into legends. They thought they were writing your ending, thought the pain they threw at you would be the thing that finished you off. But they don't get it, do they? They don't understand that pain doesn't erase you. It recreates you. It takes the version of you they thought they could control and turns it into something they'll never be able to stop. Something sharper, something harder, something unstoppable. People love to think they've got you all figured out. They watch, they judge, they whisper behind your back, thinking they know exactly who you are, exactly where you're going, exactly how this story ends. They put you in a little box, slap a label on it, and toss it onto the shelf like some finished product. And the funniest part, they really believe it. They really believe that you are what they say you are, that you'll only ever be what they expect you to be. But expectations, oh, they're such fragile little things. And when you shatter them, that's when the real fun begins. They think they know your limits. They've studied you, watched your every move, convinced themselves that you're predictable, that you'll react exactly how they want you to. They think they know when you'll break, when you'll give up, when you'll finally stay down. That's what they're waiting for. That moment where you prove them right, where you become just another story of someone who almost made it, almost fought back, almost became something more. But that moment, it never comes, does it? Because you're not playing by their rules. You never were. They don't see the full picture. They don't see what's happening underneath, behind the curtain, where the real work is being done. While they're laughing, assuming, underestimating, you're sharpening your edges, getting stronger, learning how to bend without breaking. They mistake your silence for weakness, your patience for surrender. They think they've won because you haven't struck back yet. Oh, but they have no idea, do they? They have no idea what's coming. People always think they know how a story ends. They've seen 1,000 versions of it before, and they assume yours will be just another copy of the same old script. You struggle, you fall, you give up, the world moves on. That's how it's supposed to go. That's how it's always gone. But every once in a while someone comes along and flips the script. Someone refuses to follow the outline. Someone burns the whole damn book and writes a new one. And when that happens, oh, it's beautiful. They won't see it coming. They won't realize their mistake until it's too late, until they look around and realize that the person they thought they could control, the person they thought was weak, the person they counted out a long time ago, is now standing above them, smiling. They won't understand how you did it, how you survived what was meant to destroy you, how you walked through the fire and came out the other side, not burned, not broken, but transformed. They thought they had you, thought they knew every move you would make before you even made it. Thought you were just another piece on their board, playing a game they had already won. But what they didn't realize is that you were never on their board to begin with. You were never following their rules. And now they're scrambling. Now they're afraid. Now they're the ones who don't know what's coming next. People get comfortable thinking they know everything. It makes them feel powerful, makes them feel safe, makes them feel like they've got control. But the second you show them they were wrong, the second you remind them that they never really knew you at all, oh, that's when their whole world starts to crack. Because if they were wrong about you, what else were they wrong about? How many other things do they not see coming? How many other stories are they telling themselves that are nothing more than lies? They'll try to make sense of it. They'll try to explain it away. Try to pretend like they meant for things to happen this way. But deep down, they'll know the truth. They miscalculated. They underestimated you. They made the one mistake they swore they'd never make. And by the time they realize it, well, by then, it won't really matter. People love to think the past is a prison. Like once you've been a certain way, once you've made certain mistakes, once you've worn a certain label, that's it. Game over. No rewrites, no second chances, no breaking free. They point at you, nod their heads, and say, that's who you are. Like they've stamped an expiration date on your future. Like you're just some old photograph that'll never change. But the past isn't a cage. It's not chains around your ankles. It's fuel. It's fire. And the only ones who stay stuck in it are the ones too afraid to burn the old version of themselves to the ground. They love a story that stays predictable. They love knowing exactly where someone will end up. It makes them feel smart, makes them feel safe, makes them believe the world is just a straight line where people never change, never grow, never break the pattern. They think they've got it all figured out. Once a failure, always a failure. Once broken, always broken. That's the way they see it. Because if people can change, if the past doesn't actually hold anyone back, then what does that mean for them? What does that mean for the stories they've been telling themselves? What does that mean for the excuses they've been using to stay the same? They want you to believe you're stuck. They need you to believe it. Because the second you realize you're not, the second you start moving forward, the second you start proving them wrong, they have to start questioning everything they thought they knew, and that scares them more than anything. Because if you can break free, if you can rewrite your story, if you can turn everything they used against you into something that fuels you, then what's stopping them from doing the same? And if they don't, well, then they've got no one to blame but themselves, do they? They'll remind you of your past every chance they get. They'll throw your mistakes in your face, call you by the names you used to answer to, try to drag you back down into the dirt where they think you belong. Not because they care, not because they want to help, but because they can't stand the idea of you rising while they stay exactly where they've always been. If you outgrow the past, if you step outside of the box they put you in, then what does that make them? Just people standing still while you move forward. Just people holding on to ghosts while you create something new. You ever notice how the loudest voices, the ones who talk the most about what you used to be, are the ones who are terrified of looking at themselves? They pick apart your past so they don't have to look at their own. They dissect your failures so they can ignore their own. They cling to who you were because they can't handle who you're becoming. And the best part is they think their words have power. They think their opinions shape your future. They think if they keep talking, keep whispering, keep pointing fingers, they can somehow stop you. But the past isn't an anchor unless you decide to hold on to it. It's not a death sentence unless you accept it. It's not the thing that defines you, it's the thing that made you. Every scar, every mistake, every moment where you thought you wouldn't make it, that's not something to be ashamed of. That's the foundation of something new, something stronger, something that doesn't break so easily anymore. They thought they could use it against you, keep you small, keep you doubting yourself. But what they didn't realize is that you've already made peace with it, that you've already taken everything they thought would destroy you and turned it into the very thing that's pushing you forward. They don't see it yet, but they will. And when they do, ooh, that's gonna be something worth watching. People have this funny little idea that if you play nice, follow the rules, do everything the way you're told, then the world will reward you, like there's some invisible judge keeping score, handing out gold stars for good behavior. But that's not how it works, is it? Life isn't some neat little game with a clear set of rules. It's chaos. It's unpredictable. It doesn't care how many times you did the right thing or how much you deserved better. It just is. And the ones who can't accept that, oh, they break. They sit there, stunned, confused, asking, why me, over and over, like the universe is supposed to answer. But the universe doesn't answer. It never has. It never will. The truth is, life doesn't owe you anything. Not fairness, not kindness, not justice. People spend their whole lives waiting for things to make sense, for karma to balance the scales, for the world to finally recognize them. But while they're waiting, while they're standing there hoping things will magically go their way, someone else is out there taking what they want. Someone else is moving forward without waiting for permission. Someone else has already figured out the secret. Fairness is an illusion, a bedtime story told to keep people in line. The real world doesn't work that way. The real world belongs to those who understand that if you want something, you have to reach out and take it. They'll tell you to be patient, to wait your turn, to trust that things will fall into place. But what they really mean is, stay where you are. Don't make too much noise. Don't push too hard, because the second you stop playing their little game, the second you stop believing in the fairy tale, you become unpredictable, and unpredictable people, ooh, they make the whole system nervous. They don't like it when someone figures out that the only thing stopping them is the idea that they were supposed to wait. The second you realize no one's coming to hand you anything, that's the second you become dangerous. The ones who win aren't the ones who waited the longest, who followed the rules, who stayed in their little box hoping for some grand reward. The ones who win are the ones who got tired, the ones who stopped asking for permission. The ones who took the hits, learned the game, and then broke it apart piece by piece. Because once you stop believing in fairness, once you stop expecting the world to hand you what you deserve, you start seeing things differently. You start seeing opportunities where others see roadblocks. You start finding ways through when others are still standing at the door, waiting for someone to open it for them. People will hate you for it. Oh, they'll hate you for seeing through the illusion, for stepping outside of the lines, for daring to act when they're still frozen in place. They'll call you reckless, selfish, ruthless. And maybe you are. Maybe you have to be. Because the ones who spend their whole lives playing fair, playing nice, playing by the rules written by someone else, they never make it. They never get what they want. They never change a damn thing. But the ones who step outside of that, the ones who laugh at the idea of fairness and start moving, they're the ones who rewrite the story. They're the ones who take control. They'll try to pull you back in, tell you you're doing it wrong, tell you that good things come to those who wait, that patience is a virtue, that everything will work out if you just sit still long enough. But look at them. Really look at them. Are they where they want to be? Did they get what they were promised? Or are they still waiting, still hoping, still expecting something that was never coming in the first place? Because that's the trick, isn't it? That's the biggest joke of all. They spent their whole lives following the rules, believing in fairness, only to realize too late that the ones who made the rules never intended to follow them. They thought you'd stay in line. Thought you'd keep waiting, keep believing, keep sitting quietly while life passed you by. But they were wrong about you, weren't they? Because you figured it out. And once you see the truth, once you really understand that the only thing keeping you from everything you want is the lie they told you about how to get it, well, there's no going back after that.